Hello, my name is Klímapolitikai and today I try to answer the question what Green Conservatism is. Environmentalism is without a doubt one of the hot topics of recent politics. Lately, we experience a massive, progressive, ideological occupation in this field. Thus, we all know that the preservation of nature is above political polarization. Clean air, water, soil and energy became a consensus among people with different worldviews. So, if we want to understand the conservative approach, we need to find answers primarily to the how and why rather than the what question. Since we are talking about politics, every ideological approach like socialism, liberalism, nationalism and so on has its own interpretation. So, to unfold the details of Green Conservatism, first we must understand what conservatism is and how it differs from any other political ideology. Conservatism is more an instinct than an idea, said Roger Scruton. Being conservative means having the urge to stick to certain values and instinctively reject artificial, unnecessary and radical changes. Society, wrote Edmund Burke, is a contract between those who are dead, those who are living and those who are to be born. In this sense, the current generation has the responsibility to accept values from the ancestors, preserve and actualize those values and offer them to the next generations. So, we conservatives see society as a continuity between generations, and in the case of Green Conservatism, our job is to preserve natural and environmental values for future generations. This is one of the most important differences between progressives and conservatives. Progressives tend to see the world as an imperfect one and they believe in some kind of a utopia. So they are ready to demolish every tradition and social frameworks that are in the way of achieving the coveted golden age. Whether they believe in a more equal, more just, more environmentally friendly human society, they see the root of the problem in the traditional structures. This is why their ideologies contain revolutionary changes, and this is why they are not afraid to use social engineering. Usually, they do not calculate the transformation of existing social structures as a cultural, societal risk. The second difference is the concept of humankind. According to progressives, we humans are the problem. In order to save the planet, we have to limit ourselves, the economic activity, the consumption, and even the reproduction of man. According to them, less human means fewer problems. They want to save the planet, not mankind. For Green Conservatism, the exact opposite can be said. Humankind is part of nature. Conservatism is anthropocentric, which means, just like governance, environmentalism is of the people, by the people, for the people. Even if there are environmental problems, the answer to them should consider economic, social and political aspects. This is the only way to create policies that are not just environmentally, but socially and economically also sustainable. Besides that, nature is strong. Life will thrive without humans too, so our mission is not to save the planet, but to find ways to be at peace with it. So, from the conservative perspective, environmental movements have no point without the next generation of humans. To achieve that, an equilibrium between humanity and Earth ecosystem should be aimed. There is also a very important difference in the question of allocation of responsibility and the legitimacy of politics. Progressives think every human is individually responsible, so we must set limitations for ourselves to save the world. Progressives state that humans are corrupted by nature and their habits cannot be reconciled with the rest of the ecosystem. So, in environmentalism, they find legitimacy for social engineering and top-down policies. In contrast with that, conservatives build on the true bottom-up initiatives and local actions. We all love our home and we all want to protect it. This is called oikophilia by Roger Scruton, and this is the possible strongest bond between people and places. Conservatives build on that connection, and as a result, Green Conservatism is always local and patriotic. This means we all consider global problems serious, but we also recognize that our actions are most effective locally, in our homeland and in our property. Nations form nature, just like nature forms nations. We have our own cultural roots, hundreds of years of experiences about the landscape, and our traditional best practices. Nations are also proven to be crisis resilient, so we stick to nation states and national sovereignty in order to tackle environmental problems. Therefore, we operate with nation-level regulations and support international cooperations where nations can act as sovereigns. The experience of last year's crisis situations, such as the financial crisis, migration crisis, the COVID pandemic, energy crisis or the current geopolitical crisis, also underlines that supranational organizations are often unable to cope with critical situations, however, nation-states could be effective. Conservatives also trust in society, so we want to achieve these environmental goals within the framework of democracy. It also implies that we would like to create policies that people actually support. Conservatives don't want to tell you how long you should take a shower, how warm your home should be, or how many kids you should have. Progressive social engineering and top-down policies can create a huge democratic deficit, which will not work in the long run. We all know that actual differences can be made by the changes in the processes of the big polluters. Instead of forcing green policies against the will of the economy and society, conservatives want to incentivize changes in the ways of production. We are looking for technological innovations, support R&D, and create an incentive economic environment for environmentally beneficial solutions. At the same time, we can build on tradition in the industry, agriculture, water management, urban development, and many other fields. As conservatives, sometimes we should think out of the high-tech box and get to know the historical solutions to different environmental challenges such as droughts, floods, heat waves, or extreme weather events. We also shouldn't be biased technologically. All solutions that lead us to a cleaner future should be accepted, including, for example, nuclear and clean fossil technologies. Not politicians led by utopias, but science and market competition should decide which technology is mature enough to use. Last but not least, there is a big difference between the intentions of conservatives and progressives. On the surface, we all want a cleaner environment. But usually progressives have other dormant goals too. They save the trees in the name of the trees in order to create their utopia. This is why they connect environmental policies with all the woke nonsense like anti-capitalistic ideas, social justice, racial issues, LGBT, and of course supranational, preferably globally coordinated policies. Conservatives, on the other hand, save the trees because we sat in the shadow of it and ate the fruit of it, so we want the same benefits for our children. Thank you for your attention, and I hope this video helped you understand what green conservatism is. See you in the next video.